Welcome to the Empowering Story Podcast. This is a space where healing is allowed to take its own shape. Nothing here is rushed. Nothing is measured. We listen to what's already present and to what might be ready to move in its own time.
Days feel like months, but the years simply vanish, or my mind is racing, but my body is completely stuck. If you mention this to a therapist or a friend, these phrases are usually treated as metaphors, written off as mood, language, and exaggeration of stress, or a standard symptom of depression. We rely heavily on the proverb that time heals all wounds. That assumes time is a steady, neutral backdrop, a fixed environment that we simply move through waiting for distance to bring relief. But trauma doesn't wait for time. It reaches into the hardware of the brain and seizes up the internal clock. To understand why a person's reality fragments this way, we have to look closely at how the human nervous system physically processes a single moment. Because if the machinery of perception is skipping frames, waiting for the clock to tick won't help. We have to repair the frame rate itself. The physicist Richard Feynman observed that our experience of time has very little to do with the objective ticking of a clock. Instead, it is a biological rhythm calibrated by our metabolic processing speed and the flow of dopamine. You can see this clearly in children. They operate in a state of exploratory anxiety, a constant curious scanning of the world. Their perception field is wide open, taking in massive amounts of novel information because they encode so many rich, detailed signals every second. A single summer afternoon feels like it stretches on forever. High data density makes time feel expansive. Now look at what happens in the exact fraction of a second. A traumatic event occurs, the amygdala detects a life-threatening danger. Instantly, the nervous system abandons curiosity for threat-based anxiety. The perception field narrows to a pinhole, and the brain's internal processing speed skyrockets to analyze the danger. Often the physical body cannot fight or flee, resulting in a freeze response. The internal system is overwhelmed by a massive surge of data and conflicting impulses. While the external body is completely immobilized inside, a few seconds feel like an agonizing eternity, while an outside observer sees almost nothing happen to keep you alive. The brain reconfigures its internal frame rate. In a healthy system, the danger passes and the biological clock returns to normal. But for people exposed to chronic trauma or severe childhood abuse, that acute threat response fails to shut off. This creates a condition known clinically as trauma-shaped temporality. This graph illustrates the mechanics. A regulated nervous system spikes during stress and drops back to a calm baseline, but a traumatized system stabilizes at a jagged, elevated state of hypervigilance. The brain is perpetually hunting for threats that are no longer there. Operating continuously at this exhausted high-frequency pitch requires immense energy. The mind becomes so consumed by internal alarms that it detaches from the external environment. As a result, the resolution of experience plummets. The brain stops recording the rich, nuanced details of daily life. The data density drops and unrecorded moments simply thin out and slip away. The person is left inhabiting a fragmented reality. Projecting a safe future becomes biologically impossible for a brain focused on immediate survival, and the past collapses into an inescapable, eternal present. When a survivor says they feel stuck, they're not speaking metaphorically about a bad memory. They are structurally trapped in the exact temporal frame rate of the original threat. This explains a behavior pattern that frequently confuses families and therapists. Survivors will often seek out chaotic environments, extreme risks, or high-intensity relationships in a desperate attempt to feel alive. They're trying to shock their system into recording a moment, but these attempts fail because the person is entering the experience from a baseline of dysregulation. The chaotic event triggers a massive spike in intensity, but the exhausted brain has no capacity to encode it without memory integration. The timeline splinters even further, flooding. A broken system with intense stimuli does not restore the flow of time. It only reinforces the numbness. Moving past this requires a shift in how we approach recovery. Healing is not achieved by narrating a flawless story of the past or actively trying to erase what happened. The goal of recovery is to restore the biological capacity to experience and integrate the present moment. That means carefully guiding the nervous system out of its narrow threat-based frequency and retraining it to tolerate a wide-open state of exploration. If you look around and feel like the rest of the world is moving forward while you are frozen in place, you are not exaggerating. That is an accurate description of your nervous system. Your brain executed a machine maneuver to keep you alive through an impossible situation. It did exactly what it was designed to do. Time is not a relentless external force dragging you along. It is an internal rhythm and the same mind that learned to compress time to survive. A threat can be taught to expand it again for peace.
Thank you for listening to the Empowering Story podcast. This space will be here when you return.
I am Sean Dorf, and I want to thank you for being here. It's an honor to share this space with you. Until next time.